So, John, were you just up late one night downloading guides all over the internet and you're like, man, this is the one that I want to talk about today? Or like, how did you do this?
I liked so somehow the last guide that we looked at found me. But then if you'd
Found you.
it found me on the algorithms. I'm scrolling through. I don't even remember where it was.
Well,
It was on Instagram, honestly, which is real weird that you're advertising that particularly like a business guide on Instagram. To me, that was a weird place, but they found me. That said, I get retargeted with all of the guides everywhere, which thank you for teaching me about retargeting. Yeah, Travis, I've got like a whole bunch of guides that eventually we're going to walk through. This one caught my attention. Who's it from, Travis?
This is HubSpot's guide.
HubSpot.
The ultimate growth marketing.
Travis, this is the ultimate one. Did you know this is
the ultimate one? My goodness.
What does ultimate mean? I don't know. What is interesting, I just saw this is actually co-produced with SEMrush as well, which we're familiar with both of them. Great products, by the way, just making sure for you guys to all know, like these are leaders in the space. SEMrush, they deal with search engine optimization stuff. Is that like,
oh yeah, it's pretty good. It gives you guys some insights on keywords and such. I mean, we've used that in the past.
Yeah, and HubSpot, by the way, great book that helped me kind of understand a lot of their foundations is they ask, you answer. Is that correct? Yeah. At the end of the book, I realized the book was all just kind of about getting you into HubSpot, but the principles were great. Content marketing, like funnels and all that sort of stuff. We're going to see a little bit of this today, but we're going to go through this guide. Oh yeah, go ahead.
I will tell you, John, HubSpot is the crack of marketing.
Okay.
Oh my goodness. They give you a little taste and then they get you hooked. And then it's getting really expensive later on.
Well, it starts, the first one's free.
It's very free. Yeah.
You can get in for free. And actually, by the way, as just a quick little suggestion, you can get like 2 free seats to start collecting companies and contacts in HubSpot. Super helpful. It's like genuinely a value.
Yeah, absolutely.
And so, but then to start doing anything more, they'll
charge you. Yeah. But if you want HubSpot, come to us.
Yeah.
And we'll get you guys hooked up.
If you're not in a CRM, please talk to us. So
so
this is their guide, the ultimate guide to growth marketing. They did find me through retargeting. We're just going to kind of go through it, take some hot takes. I've browsed it a little bit. I made some notes. Travis, you've browsed it. You've made some notes. We have not yet shared notes yet, which is always kind of fun. So you're going to get these right out of the gate. One of my first things, Travis, at first I said, hey, this is kind of long. I kind of like it. And then I'm going to back out of that. It's a little too long. To me, I want a guide to not necessarily be a book. This is kind of like a half C between a guide and a full ebook. Which, content can be great, but it's just like, I might get lost from what they're trying to really say. But yeah, it's very long. It's like 34 pages long right now with a little bit of notes. They do have a little worksheet. That's kind of fun.
Yeah. So, I mean, it's long. It's got some great graphics in there. And, but here I'm going to give you a little bit of a hot take. If you want to read some insights about HubSpot and HubSpot's probably going to roll over, is read the book Disrupted.
Okay.
And it kind of gives some like startup life. And this is kind of the, I won't say bro culture, that really happened, but there was, it goes through the startup, life of, several companies, and one being HubSpot. But if you ever want to read a book, that's, about, parties and all kinds of things, which
is it Silicon Valley stuff?
It's similar. Yes.
Yeah, okay.
So, and I know that there's been videos and TV series is produced around some of this, but, it was a great book. I loved reading it. It's called Disrupted.
I'm getting ready to go on a road trip, so I might on.
It's not for families.
No, I have headphones. I have headphones. Yeah, I'm doing a road trip with my family, so no, I have headphones.
So I'm reading through this guide, and by the way, I love HubSpot. I love what they're doing, and I also love. Here's I don't even, it's not even a spicy take, but using a CRM. If you're a company, use one. I don't care what you're using.
You have
Pipedrive, Salesforce, Nutshell, you name it. If you're in construction, whatever you might want to use, like use the tool well. My father always said, he said, "Son, beware of the man who carries one gun because he knows how to use it."
Mm,
And I think about it that way. So if you are in business, think about whatever tool you're using. Make sure like that you're using it well. But I was reading through this guide, the Ultimate Guide to Growth Marketing. This is definitely not for somebody that is ever started a business.
okay.
So
Tell me more, Travis.
yeah, I'm like, oh, great principles. Here is do SEO, and then here, let's make sure that you do this growth hacking. So I was kind of, or make sure you're doing search engine marketing, and so I'm like, okay, that's great, but let's get brass tacks and tactical
Yeah.
on this. And even for people that are just kind of even starting out, this I wouldn't say that this is super practical, but I think that most guides are like that. It's purely a guide, but it's you really need to know somebody who's in your industry in
Mm,
order to say, should you go and do postcards, or should you be doing pay per click, which is Google, or should you be doing text messaging?
yeah.
Uh, Guess what? You know where it all starts from is a CRM.
That is so true. And I want to encourage people, if you are part of a business and you don't have a CRM, most of them are embarrassed about that. It's like, wait, oh no, we're at 3 million and we don't have a CRM yet. And
Yeah,
they think that everyone has a CRM and that they're the only ones left. I actually would super encourage all of my experience. Like, you're not alone.
yeah.
So make sure that you are just honest and get some help right away. It's easier than you think. It's also probably more complicated than you think. But yeah, you got to have a CRM,
I
period.
mean, I was with a CEO the other day, and they weren't in our ICP, but he was just starting out a company,
Mm,
and I said, "Well, hey, do you have a what's your CRM?" He's like, "Well, we kind of started out, we're tracking stuff, but we don't. We're only actually at 500,000 in revenue." And I'm like, "Well, what are you going to do when you're at 1 million?" "Oh, I think we'll get a revenue." So it means you're going to double in size, and you still don't have a CRM.
yeah. So your problem is now twice as big.
Twice as big.
Yeah.
And then he's like, "Well, then when should you get this?" And he's like, "I was thinking maybe around 3 million or something." And I was like, "So now,
Email. He actually said 3 million.
so 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 now it's not just double. Like you're adding so much weight to your company that you don't need to if you would have just started
Yeah.
out."
There's some stuff, some data later on as to why you should start sooner, especially with 3 million. I'll circle back around on that. Growth marketing, the way they defined the term growth marketing, because that can sound a little, it can sound a little silly. I like the term, but it is primarily focusing, according to this on page 3 of the guide, about being scalable, about leveraging analytics, and then really looking at a big picture goal instead of an intermediate goal. I appreciated those three core elements of growth marketing. You want to try to make sure that what you're doing is not just a one off. And I do see that a lot of times in less developed marketing teams, that all they're thinking is the next like slogan and ad graphic that they can make, instead of seeing like, hey, is this a step toward the right direction to getting more people in the pipeline, to enhancing our value? So can you scale it? And then the analytics, again, you can't analyze anything that's not in a CRM, but like, can you scale it? Can you analyze it? And then is it going toward a big picture goal? I thought that was really appropriate. Um, there's a couple other things coming up here about your old. This is not for startups. This is for large companies. But yeah, give me some more of your takes, Travis.
Yeah, so I mean, um, if you're and then once you get to your kind of a larger company, if you're not doing this, then and you've hired a marketing person, then you should fire them because they're not doing it right. This is great for maybe an executive or somebody who hasn't hired a marketing person. Um,
Okay.
so this is not for a marketing person.
As maybe
This
the
is
framework of what they might want out of a marketing person.
exactly.
Okay.
This would be great to if you took to an interview that you're interviewing your first like marketing specialist.
Interesting.
Like take this and just be like, "Oh, well tell me about what strategies that you would like to do for email marketing." Tell me the strategies that you'd like to do for SMS marketing.
Okay.
Like, this would be a great one so you can just flip through and say, okay, now I have a language
Yeah.
to be able to speak to them. Or maybe you're getting ready to hire a marketing director, because this is table stakes right here. And imagine like, and it's nothing's new underneath the sun. It's got some old campaigns from, like, I think, like from Domino's, and some other older campaigns, which is great,
Yeah.
but it's not going to increase your revenue for
That is a
33
brilliant,
minutes.
that's a brilliant tool. I wanna make sure and give some practical steps, and, you had not told me about this. I love this, Travis. So open up your PDF, um, do like Command A or select all, copy all of that, put it into GPT, tell them, "I wanna use this as my framework of interviewing my VP of marketing," and then it'll kind of parse through all these different topics. That'd be a great way to kinda deduce things down. Um Travis, one of the things that I did like the concept of growth marketing versus conventional marketing.
Well, John, I'm
Yeah,
gonna
no, no,
back up
go
for a
ahead.
little bit. I'm
Yeah,
sorry.
yeah,
So this would be really good for a marketing specialist, or if you're wanting to hire a VP of marketing or a director of marketing. This is actually probably wouldn't be the one. You'd want more data and analytics
okay,
behind that person in that hire.
okay. So let's talk about
So
this. So these steps here are not at the top level of marketing, but they're more of the tactics that the team would be using, maybe.
exactly, it's
Okay,
so low. It's so low level. This is not
interesting.
the ultimate guide.
Yeah.
Uh, hey, you guys won on clickbait. Amazing.
I downloaded it, Travis, so they got me.
No, no, it's great there. Um, this right here, I mean, you should be doing NPS. You should be doing your email. You should be like, you should be doing digital marketing, especially if you're in the 5 to 10 million range. You should already be doing that, or should. But this might be also great questions that you even ask your agency. Maybe that you're doing an interview to,
That's a really good point.
instead of doing a hire, like, go through your agency and be like, hey, these are questions that I want to know the strategy that you will use for us in order to help us go. But if you're hiring like a VP, those people should understand industry specific numbers,
That's great.
so stats. And they need to be like, okay, I understand, like, for an open rate for emails for your customers should be roughly between 13 and 15%. I know that conversion rates for the salespeople should be between 20 to 25%,
Yeah,
especially if they get a SQL in the funnel,
yeah.
not an MQL. MQL to conversion to an SQL should be a different
Yeah,
conversion rate,
yeah.
and they should know those numbers
I love
and
that.
understand what's going on. This guide doesn't really touch on that, or even they should be getting down to LTV and versus CAC ratio,
Yeah,
and
yep,
like, what did they see as their best
yep,
practice, and how did they work with finance?
yeah.
Those are leaning
So
deeper
if you're
questions.
CEO or founder, please don't just hand this to your VP of marketing, your CMO, and say, "Hey, here's the playbook." That's not their playbook. If you are a CMO, VP of marketing, and you might want to give your team some ideas, then perhaps this can give you some ideas.
I wouldn't even say that this really gives them ideas. This is for somebody who's not been in marketing
Okay,
whatsoever. This is somebody, maybe person in operations, or this
interesting.
might be something that you are in that, like, less than 5 million range. And I don't have a marketing agency, or I don't have a marketing person,
Okay.
and I need to get familiar
So
with marketing.
I have a little bit of pushback on this. That's simply, to me, when I read this, this is like, if I am in a company that's like 20 million, so they've already pushed through all of those like statistics, and they've got a big old marketing team, and you've been tasked with just coming up with new ideas of things to do. Then you're like, oh yes, this is my next 2 years of things that I could just do. Like that's what this feels like, a very like privileged guide where it's like, you aren't fighting for air right now. This is just like you're figuring out the next thing to like do to make a small marginal change. I do like the frameworks. I just don't think that by the time you can implement these, you're not building out your funnel stages. Like You don't care about funnel stages, on, about the acquisition, activation, revenue, retention, referral. I like all of those, but those are like very mature, like 20 plus million terms that you're going to be using. This is not going to help you. Well, growth
No.
marketing is about growing.
Well, then it talks about what SEO is, and I was like, my goodness, if you know, like, if you don't know what SEO is and you're in marketing, you're definitely in the wrong job, or even what SEM is, and understanding those foundations. So it's very low level on there, and then obviously it kind of gets a little bit high level, or excuse me, high level on there, and like, oh, growth hacking for Facebook. I'm like, oh well, you
Well,
know what?
okay, so I have it circled here with a big X, Travis. I hate the word hack. The hack first is just like a little buzz term because you're gonna click on it. All the people that don't want to do work that want to. Oh, what's the hack? Well, you know what the hack is? The hack is to call something a hack and get everyone to download your hack, so now you have a bunch of leads. That's the hack. Okay.
Yep.
Flip the script. I hate the word hack. There was one thing that I've seen you lead the way on a lot of this marketing. And we think a lot about marketing to net new prospects, cold contacts, all of that, which is we need to. You referenced your conversation with this founder who's at a half mil says, "Oh, I might not be tracking things till 3 mil." Okay, that's fine. This data right here that they're sharing, and I appreciate this from Think Impact in the HubSpot guide, that increasing retention by only 5% can lead to a 29% increase in revenue. So we forget a lot of marketing and growth marketing for our current customers. And I do appreciate that they took a little half page in this entire guide to talk about this, but I didn't want to miss it because I do think this was like the golden nugget in this whole guide on marketing to your current customers and then maybe even to your current team, Travis, like your employees. So I know that they didn't really give us guidance here, but for the people who are listening to this right now who are like, okay, so what do I do? Give a little bit of snippet on how to market to current customers. What in the world is that even? Like, how am I marketing to people who are already paying? And then how do you like use marketing to encourage with your current employees and your current team and everything? Those are how would you parse those two things out?
Yeah. So this is, if you're a CMO or you are in marketing, you're going to resonate with this really really well, because you got hired and you said, "Wow, I'm going to get customers," and then all of a sudden you're doing the customer newsletter, and then you're doing the employee newsletter, and then all of a sudden you're planning out the company party, and you're like, "Oh my goodness, I thought I was actually marketing. I am now doing communication." And all of a sudden communication is everywhere.
Mhm.
So that is a whole nother episode. That's a whole nother time to
We
get
just
on
keep coming up with new episodes
right,
every single episode.
nice soapbox that I can get on. But you as a marketer and as a team leader need to fundamentally have several pillars in your communication. So I think about it this way. I know you talked about, marketing to customers, marketing to employees, but I'm going to talk about several pillars. Pillar number one is to your to actually new customers.
Okay.
So we think about new customers, and that is we're doing all the marketing tactics. Then there's marketing to current customers. So there's pillar number two. So current customers is pillar number two. Then you have employees is your next pillar. And then you have your leadership is your next one.
Who would you include in leadership? Is that the board?
Leadership will be your executive team and your board.
Okay, cool.
Okay. And so those are big. And now I'm going to throw a fifth pillar in here. And we're going to talk about this on our next episode. Your channel partners.
I love that you mentioned that. I was wondering where you were going to go with that.
Yeah. So you as a marketer, and that's how I thought about it, is are we hitting all five of those?
Okay.
And you have to, like, if you're reporting to a CEO or you have to be able to speak to them. Okay. Here's what we're doing for new. Here's what we're doing for our current customers. Here's what we're doing for our employees. Here's what we're doing for leadership. And here's what we're doing for our channel partners.
Yeah.
And each one of those pieces are very much has their own way to be communicated to,
Yeah.
and they have their own type of channels
Yeah.
in which they do.
Yep.
So, what does it look like for new? New is a lot what's in this report. Hey, we're going to focus on there. Current customers, that is upsell opportunities
Okay.
and also ways you can get referrals.
Yeah.
That is when you think about net revenue retention. So we talked about this earlier. So
Yep.
NRR,
Hmm.
net revenue retention, is you want that to be between like 115, 105 percent, 120 would be great percent. And that is where your current customers are buying more from you,
Yeah.
and that's a new marketing tactic. So that could be, hey, you're a service and we've got new services available.
Yep.
Hey, we are selling, I'll move from the services side of it. Let's go to your e-commerce, and I want to buy a blazer, but we're going to also sell the pants with it. I am a heating and cooling. Now I'm selling furnace uptake, and now I'm going to sell vent cleaning.
Mm.
I'm upselling each one of those. So current customers, so much gold is in current customers.
Yeah.
Employees, that is used on the communication to say, hey, everybody, this is what we're doing. This is how we're doing it.
Yeah.
Here's when we're doing it. You have to, like, oh my goodness, that channel alone will kill you if you don't get it right.
How often have you even been an employee where you see, like, online on social an announcement about a
Yep.
new product or an event? You're like, I didn't even know we were doing this.
Didn't know.
Or worse, maybe a customer or a prospect. I've been on calls, Travis, where a prospect met with me. They were excited about something I had not yet been told about. And they're like, hey, so I'm really excited about this. Wanted to chat with you about it. I'm like, hey, this is brand new, and
Yeah.
you've just immediately lost there when you
Yeah.
haven't communicated with your team.
Yeah, you're making it up on the spot.
Yeah.
So the employee, and we'll go into that in another time, how deep that is. Then leadership, you might say, well, isn't leadership the same as employees? No, it's
No.
not. Totally different numbers. You can really dive into some details with it. Leadership and the board is totally different.
Yep.
And then how you focus on your channel partners is
Yep.
another one. So those
That's
are the five
great.
pillars that I like to think about when I'm doing marketing. It's just not about emails and one pagers.
Yeah, and growth is not just about net new, and I always hate when people consider marketing only to get new revenue in the door. You could have a huge hole in your boat, and you're gonna sink no matter how hard you're rowing forward. Even if everyone's, rowing on, on beat. I think you were saying in the last thing about teams, and we're all rowing in the same direction and same rhythm. You got a big old hole in your boat, you're still gonna sink. And so growth marketing to current customers to retain, marketing to current customers to increase. I mean, it's just brilliant. I'm a big fan of that. Something I did really like in this guide here is their emphasis on flexible marketing, particularly meaning to test things out often. Because when you're doing traditional marketing methods, and especially if you're doing really large investments in really large things, you kind of have to just go with, hey, what's the like main marketing message that works? What's the main channel that works? And you invest all there. The reason I don't like an approach that's inflexible is because you're never going to reach new segments of the market. You're never going to activate whole groups of people that may be out there and waiting. So I like how they're talking about staying flexible. Their mechanism, they reference Netflix, and I thought this was really interesting that they were able to improve click-through performance on particular movies that they were pushing. So Netflix is interesting because they're obviously a platform of their own content while then charging other people rent to put their content on. But at the end of the day, Netflix is out to win Oscars. They want to win like because when they get Oscars, they get more plays and all these sorts of things. So what's interesting, they would test different images for the movies to get people to click on their movies over their competitors' movies when they're putting things up. And they would just test with what images would activate better. And so they, in this particular test, they would have a control. So they would throw the original, graphic up there and then get a control test. So I love control in science experiments like this. Then, without the users really realizing it, they would throw different samples of, similar cohorts of a new image versus a new image, and then compare the two to each other against the control. And they were able to see a 14% increase in these A/B tests. Now, that's very like way underwater, and you're going to be drowning in data. The big principle is this: try things out. And then when you see something's working, go all in on it. But you can only do that if you're staying flexible. And so I appreciated that. Travis, you're only going to be able to do an A/B test though if you're actually tracking your
You're
data.
actually
So
tracking it or have
yeah,
there's an old, and I don't know if they're still around, it's called Ad Espresso, and they did tons of A/B testing.
okay,
You could use and you can throw that up on
yeah,
Facebook and Instagram and such, and, it was a good little piece of software, and I enjoyed it because, what we would do is the same thing, is we'd put images of burgers and fries and,
interesting.
queso
Okay.
and all the different images of food up there and seeing like, okay, which one's going to click. Now, the great part, here's the funny thing. This is so funny. We actually, when we were running experiments, the image of the food that they clicked on wasn't necessarily the food that they actually bought.
Do you remember what that data was at all? Like, is it?
So I don't remember the exact like numbers of it.
Yeah.
I just remembered that a person clicking on a burger necessarily didn't buy a burger. What I did find funny is they actually picked healthier options in the end.
No.
Yeah. So,
I love that.
um, and that was funny. That was one test. But it also worked in reverse, that when we had some like salad pictures and such, people would buy the burgers. It was so weird, and like it was an inverse
That's
reaction
amazing.
because like and I don't know like anyways. So I wish I could dive in a little bit
Oh
deeper in
yeah,
that.
I love that kind of stuff. It's so
But it was fascinating to me
yeah,
on there. So what I was doing was I was just trying to win on the clicks
yeah,
and trying then I would do the conversion rate on the site.
yeah.
So in past episodes, like we talked about, don't put all the weight on one ad to get them all the way to the end.
Mm,
You when you're doing your tests, you need to make sure your tests are small and they expect small things out of each one, which then equal to a greater whole.
yep.
So meaning that if you do a Facebook ad or Instagram ad or whatever you have, um, is measure it off of clicks, then measure the landing page off of conversion, and then conversion off of major either demo, sale, or whatever it might happen
Yeah.
after that. So
Yeah, thanks for that, Travis. As I look through this guide, and I'm done with all my notes, Travis, you can share anything else you might have before we wrap up. But this felt more like tactics than strategy. And I think that's a little backward ultimately. I appreciate the tactics, but your tactics should come from your strategy. And you referenced it on the concept of the, if you have a CMO, CRO that's looking over your data, your CAC, your LTV, your NRR, all these cool acronyms and stuff. That said, strategy is so much more important than the mechanisms through which we accomplish that strategy. And when we elevate tactics above big strategy, I think we're going to lose. Like, for example, if you just say, oh, SEO is what works. Well, I mean, maybe, but think of your industry, think of who you're selling to.
I
Like,
guarantee it's not going to work for much longer.
well, yeah, I mean, SEO with all the AI stuff. I had, and we've even seen ourselves that different tactics at different times in the company's life cycle are going to be better or worse. And so I appreciate, a big old list of tactics. That's what they actually should be called, not the ultimate guide, a big old list of tactics.
Yeah.
I like them. I like the tactics, but just as people do approach these sorts of things, don't ever think of it as this is the framework. Think of, hey, what have we done as a team for strategy? And feel free to look at our podcast or reach out to us if you want strategy. Then which tactics fit into that growth strategy? To me, that's my biggest takeaway from here.
Yeah, I and use the feature of, if you're getting ready to interview somebody, pull this up
Yeah.
and say, "Hey, here's some things that I would love to hear talking about." I love that this is really just a way to think about building your funnel. And then the last is I do like that they talk about testing, but you have to have a system in place. So if you don't have a CRM in place, this guide is not for you. And if you don't have a marketing hire, then this guide is for you. So you want to take a look at that way.
Yeah, thanks. Travis, this is awesome. I love doing these guides. I unfortunately have a whole bunch more for us.
Wow, you're going to be staying up late at night and
I
downloading
do not
guides.
read these late at night, although they're often a snooze fest. But yeah, thank you so much for joining the Data Election podcast. We're grateful to keep just giving you our perspectives. Hopefully, you continue to learn more things. Comment to us, email us, go to our website. We would love to help talk you through strategy. Growth strategy is what we are most passionate about, getting you through that breakthrough point. Only 1% of companies are going to hit 10 million. Only 0.4% of those companies are going to hit 50 mil. We've seen it done. We know the playbook. We want to make sure and chat with you.
Yeah, absolutely, John. And hey, if you guys are listening to this and you find value in it, please like, share this out to your friends. We only grow because of you. So thank you so much. This has been Data Election Podcast. I'm Travis.
And I'm John.
Have a great day.